Hey guys, before the podcast gets started today, I just want to remind everybody, come out Sunday, April 13th from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. for the Big Bubba Wingfield fundraiser. I think the party really gets cranked up around 2 p.m. at Cypress Point there at Cameron's Garage. Inside Cypress Point is going to be a wide array of local and statewide musicians coming in to help raise some money for Bubba, big silent auction, the whole 9 yards. I'm just dropping this little nugget in your ear so you can clear your calendar. Sunday, April 13th, Cypress Point, Cameron's Garage, Bubba Wingfield, big fundraiser for one of our favorite guys and local musicians. He's also a big supporter of the Clay Edwards Show and a big listener to all the shows here on WYAB. So let's stand up and let's show him that we support those that support us. If you want to donate and can't make it, reach out to me, clay@wyab.com, and I'll shoot you a link over to his wife's Cash App. Stay blessed. Enjoy the show. Boom, shakalaka boom. You've tuned in to the Free Range Human Show of Choice, your daily dose of reality radio. It starts right now here on a Monday, live in the 103.9 FM WYAB studios, streaming worldwide at WYAB.com, as well as the TuneIn app if you want to keep WYAB in your pocket on the go all day, 24/7, 365. That's the way to do it. Starting every morning, 6 a.m. with Chip Matthews from 6 to 7. Clay Edwards, that's me, from 7 to 9, followed by, on Mondays and Tuesdays, Chip Matthews from 9 to 10 for now. We'll see how long that lasts before some other things may or may not happen. With
Mike Madison?
Mike Madison. Well, yeah, 9 to 10 is a hodgepodge of shows. You got Chip on Mondays and Tuesdays. You got Mike Madison on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and you have Chris Davis with the
award-winning
Blue Cross Blue Shield Arts and Soul, Arts and Music Hour, formerly Jim Thorne's show. Chris just won Best Talk Show in Mississippi with that one show on Fridays. Congratulations to him. He's our news guy. He puts in a lot of work and time and effort into that, and that is more than I can say so for myself. Great work, great job, Chris. And then, of course, from 10 to noon, you got the Watchman on the Wall, Jameson Haygood, Madison County's very own Jameson Haygood. And then you have national stuff kind of wedged in there. But here's what I'm here to tell you is starting today, noon to 1, our very own Sean Yerkron and his co-host will have a show here live every Monday through Friday. His co-host is Lindsey Beckham. They will have a show here every Monday through Friday called Crossing the Aisle. It's a show about how a Democrat and a Republican can basically be together. That's his girlfriend. He's her boyfriend. And be on the opposite ends of politics in a time where political division has caused so many divorces. It brought these two together, and very close together, mind you. I figure one of them will flip to a Democrat or Republican at some point. Haven't figured out which one will give yet, but we'll see. Chip, who do you think will flip first?
Sean.
I don't know. I think Lindsay will flip.
Well, I'm saying you've been working Sean for a while.
Yeah.
But when the divorce occurs between the two, then he can go back to being the other.
Well, true enough. Sean has got some very conservative values.
Yes.
But he's got some things just on the national Democrat agenda that he can't quite shake off. It's the single-payer health care stuff. But with all that said, we'll dissect their political opinions at another time down the road. Their show starts today. They've both been on my show dozens of times. Well, Sean, hundreds of times. Lindsay's been on here dozens of times in the past. It'll be fun. We're really excited to add them to the mix here at WYAB. I know it's something I worked hard behind the scenes on for a while to make happen. They went out. They got the advertisers needed to start a show in a prime time spot at lunchtime, and we couldn't be happier for them. And a great addition to the WYAB lineup. What does that mean for this show? Because Sean was a part of it for so long. It means that Sean is no longer a part of the show. But hey, we don't mind being a launch pad for other shows. That speaks very highly of this show.
That's how I wound up here.
That's exactly. Chip the same way. Started here on Mondays, doing Mondays with me, and then ended up backing into having his own show. So look, Kim Wade did the same for me. Mm-hmm. That's how this happens in talk radio.
Oh, yes.
You bring your people up with you. So tune in today, starting today, live, noon to 1. They will be sitting right here in these very seats. They'll have the cameras on, so they'll be streaming on social media and all that as well. They'll be recording it for a podcast. doing everything that I do and doing everything Chip does to get their message out there to the masses. I think they'll probably, I don't want to guess their content, but it'll probably skew heavy local first couple of days because of the local elections. And then after that, I think they'll probably skew more statewide and national. But we'll see. Listen in and find out. Starting today, noon to 1, it is Crossing the Aisle with Sean Yerkaran and Lindsey Beckham. Chip Matthews, I saw something funny on the way as I was using the bathroom this morning, burning a little time, getting ready to get up out to Hizzle.
Yeah.
There's a debate has popped off in the Let's Talk Rankin County Facebook group.
Okay.
Now let me find it here. Let's Talk Rankin County. Was it the uncensored group? Let me look on my screenshot real quick here. And just double check, make sure I'm in the right group, because anytime something gets a couple hundred comments in one of these groups, you know it's good. All right, I'm in the right group. Let me find the post here. And this just is part of a bigger conversation of how lazy we've gotten as a country.
Okay.
Now, I want to be careful. I'm not picking sides on this. I mean, it looks pretty obvious who was in the wrong and who wasn't. But let's see here. What's that girl's name? Let me see if I can find a post easier like that. Guys, y'all would be shocked. It's harder to get in here and find this stuff in advance, because Chip's here and it literally gives me 5 minutes to sit down and get set up. So sometimes we got to do it live on air. Look, speaking of while I'm doing this, the weather this morning is pretty rough out there, man.
And if you're riding down 49, watch out for the white van.
Yep.
But yeah, the weather is a problem. But the weatherman just about tried to kill the restaurant business this past weekend. Because it did not happen Saturday.
He in fact killed the ball tournament business in Rankin County. There was a big ball tournament scheduled at the Quarry out in Brandon, and they canceled it Thursday. So, man, I just can't in good faith, have a tournament and have to cancel it by 1 o'clock. Did not drop any rain from the time we got up Saturday morning until after we went to bed last night. They could have fully had that ball tournament. Now, I understood them canceling the ball tournament, right, but they canceled it based on the weatherman's prediction, the weatherman's prediction. They've been getting it. The better our technology has gotten it, the worse they've gotten their predictions.
And, they started on this weekend's weather last weekend.
They did. A week away. Because I remember sharing a post that, man, it must going to be really bad if they're predicting tornadoes a week out.
Now, look at it this way, and Taylor was just talking about this with me. We have 81-degree weather all week. Mm-hmm. We have 60-degree weather this Sunday. The Easter snap coming in.
What's the weather this Sunday?
60.
Well, good.
But it'll drop, so that means more than likely we'll have rain again. Where heat and cold meet.
Well, look, so y'all be careful out there. The weather should be moved on out here within the hour. Rankin County Schools push start time back about an hour for everybody, not because of traffic, but because of school bus pickup, people having to stand out in the rain in this weather. A lot of lightning this morning. Good job, Rankin County. I seen some people making the post. They didn't do this when I went to school. You had to stand out there in the weather and blah blah blah. Well, we were dumb then.
Yeah.
Let's just be honest. We made a lot of bad decisions then. If you don't have to send your kid out there to stand in lightning and to ride with a bus driver in bad weather, that's probably the path of least resistance. Some things are good. Some softening of society isn't terrible. If you want to call this softening of society, I call it hardening of society, because we're trying to survive society.
Did you find it?
No, but I screenshot it, so I was wanting to read some of the comments, but
okay.
It doesn't matter. Anyway, so this girl, we'll call her Crystal because that's her name.
Okay.
We won't put her last name out there. And Let's Talk Rankin County posted this yesterday. It happened at the Walmart in Rankin County. She said, what a piece of crap these people are. At the Pearl Walmart, you now have to wait in line to pick up your groceries.
I did see that.
Yeah, so they got the grocery pickup line.
Right.
So you now have to wait in line to pick up your groceries. I got here at 10 to pick mine up. There was a line probably 8 deep. No problem. It's 10:40 a.m. and I'm just now getting ready to get my spot. Instead of waiting, this vehicle cut the line and almost hit the front of my car. I get it. I didn't want to wait almost an hour for my groceries either. But come on. There's a process, and you're not any more important than the people that did the right thing. So this person in a Jeep looks like either a Grand Cherokee or one of those new Wagoneers or whatever. Yeah. He's got a custom tag. I'm not going to get into these people's personal information. Y'all saw the post. You saw the post. You know who these people are. The lady who cut the lady off claims that there was 2 lines. She got confused. And to that I say this, you cut in front of somebody.
Right.
You know. But that's not what I'm here for.
Right.
What I'm here for is that, gosh dang, we've gotten lazy.
Yes.
Look, you can get the groceries delivered for one thing. I mean, I don't know how far out they go. They come to my house.
They'll deliver for next to nothing.
Yeah, the girlfriend got an order of groceries delivered yesterday that I didn't even know was coming.
Right.
I personally still like to go to the grocery store and walk in the locally owned grocery store. Like
right.
I just do. That's just me. We talk about it a lot on this show. I don't support Kroger, but if some Kroger groceries show up to my house somebody else is paying for, I'm not throwing them away.
Right.
I will in fact eat them.
Right.
I'm not that fat planted on my hill yet.
Okay.
But anyway, get up and go in the grocery store. This is like the drive-thru at the fast food restaurant for me. We'll use Chick-fil-A as an example because everybody talks about the Chick-fil-A drive-thru. Really, I should use Huey Magoo's as this, but everybody knows Chick-fil-A, so we're going to use them as the example. Then y'all go eat at Huey Magoo's. The Chick-fil-A line will be wrapped around the building twice when it's busy.
Yes.
There will be a dozen empty parking places.
Yes.
Chip, I have done experiments.
It's easier to go inside and grab it and come back out.
I will mark the car mentally that I would have got behind.
Mm-hmm.
I will get up. I will go in to the thing. Now, I haven't done this in years because I just don't eat fast food.
Right.
Rarely. Mm. I get up and go in. Mm-hmm. I'll come back out. I will mentally mark where that car was.
Right.
And even with Chick-fil-A's so-called great, fast, super-duper service,
right,
that car maybe moved 3 spots. And I am back in my car with my food. And people will say, well, Clay, some of us got kids in the car. Well, for you fat asses that don't.
Right.
Now, I'm talking to y'all.
Right.
If the drive-thru was just for people who had kids in their car and couldn't get out or were stuck on the phone, whatever. I get that. You're on the phone. You don't want to go inside, talk on the phone. You're on a business call. I get
when
it.
I was a kid, they would, my mom would say, y'all run in and get it. Yeah. She'd park in a space, run in and get it. But then again, at 15, you're not allowed to get out of the car anymore. I mean, you're just
still a baby.
You're not old enough.
You're still a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you what, it would probably solve a lot of the problems at the counter. Now, I'll say this. Let me rewind and play the devil's advocate here. Depending on where you're at, if you're in an area of concentrated hive Democrats,
okay,
and you get out and a particular demographic of person gets their order wrong, you could very well see them slanging stuff and jumping on the counter and twerking. Yeah. Because they didn't put the right sauce in their bag.
Right.
I ain't making that up. I've seen it happen.
Oh, yes. It's happened.
So you may not want your kids to run in and be a victim and have their eyeballs raped having to see that.
Okay, tell me this. Is this Cheese TV 601 yours?
No, it's some black kid in Jackson.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, the very black kid that posts, I've seen it all.
That fight?
Mm-hmm. The BBL fight, the big
what building's that?
That's the old pizza place over there. It's the last call.
Wow.
Over there, that really nice
building.
That's
it.
Yeah, so the Cheese TV guy has been my great example lately. Every time black people get mad at me for posting these videos, why don't you ever post videos of white people misbehaving? Well, if you got them, send them to me, Clay at WYAB.com. SaveJXN@gmail.com. Please send them to me. I would love to post them. If you have local white people misbehaving badly, I don't care what happened outside the Tri-County area.
Well, most of the local white people misbehaving are usually in pictures being booked.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. When it happens outside Jackson, they get arrested.
Mm-hmm.
It's plain and simple. Like, that's what we talked about Brian Bailey the other day and all his drama. Say what you want, say what you will. People get arrested, and he gets a big, big leash. He gets a lot of rope to hang himself because they do their job.
See, when I was in my debate the other day in Canton, I sat there and I said, do you understand that because I told him we need to go to zero tolerance on crime. So that means that when your 14-year-old is out riding around at 2 a.m., we need to arrest the 14-year-old and we need to arrest the parents. And they said, why would you arrest the parents? I go, because you're not watching your 14-year-old at 2 a.m. driving around in your car.
Broken window policing.
Okay. So if you go back and you go zero tolerance and you have a rule that the parents next time will call you when their in the morning because they don't want to go to jail, and then both of y'all can be working on getting them in. But, I mean, zero tolerance. And I said, you don't go to Rankin County. They go, no, you'll get arrested. Exactly.
Exactly.
Exactly. You don't go to Rankin County or you get arrested.
But it's racism, Chip.
Yes. But at Madison County, up and down the interstate to Jackson, if they're not from Jackson, they're from Canton with a gun on their way to Jackson. I mean, that's just the way it's been.
Now I'll say Madison County is rather well behaved. The sheriff's department does a phenomenal job there too, and and Ridgeland and Gluckstadt. Canton, Canton is just and I'm not. This ain't even a knock at Canton PD, but Canton in and of itself is a nightmare, and they really need the National Guard up there. There's only so much the local police department can do.
Well, I think they need Capitol Police.
I don't see why you wouldn't.
I mean, they're statewide.
Just expand it on up there. The CCID has been expanded. It's now the Canton Capitol Complex.
They should bring it up the interstate to where the racetrack would shut down going to all the people working at Amazon at the new Coke plant and all that. That's just going to be the worst corridor in the world.
Everybody's on those. Everybody's working shift work. It's got to be there a certain time. We got to take a break.
Okay.
We got Chip Matthews here in the studio with us this morning. The Mazda of Jackson phone line. Y'all want to chime in on any of the stuff we've talked about this morning? It's 601-879-0002. Should people just get up and walk their fat butts in to the Walmart and quit making excuses for everything? Let us know. We'll be right back on WYAB. And I'm not calling those ladies in that post fat either. It's just a generality. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show, here with Chip Matthews in the studio with me for the first time in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
Chip has some time to burn. He's hosting two shows here right now, one from 6 to 7 and one from 9 to 10. So I was like, well, hey, you're going to be here. You might as well sit in.
Might as well.
And get a lesson in talk radio. I'm kidding.
Okay.
Hey, this segment brought to you by our good friends over at 042 Wine and Spirits. Guys, Election Day is tomorrow. Get you some liquor. Is Rankin County still dry on Election Day? I know I couldn't buy beer a couple years ago.
I think you can't buy liquor stores don't open on Election Day till after the polls close.
So 7?
Still 7.
If anybody out there can confirm that, let a brother know. Are the liquor stores closed in Rankin tomorrow? So let's just pretend they are for the sake of this ad read.
Okay.
Swing by 042 Wine and Spirits today and get all of your supplies that you're going to need, all of your wine and spirits and setups for your election party, victory or sorrow. And sit down, enjoy it. We're going to get out and go vote tomorrow morning. I'm going to go vote in person. If you're voting in Rankin County, go vote at City Hall right there. That's the only place open. All the votes in one-stop shop.
They don't have various precincts?
The citywide elections are all right there in one-stop shop. The precincts are not open tomorrow.
Wow.
I'm not sure what the deal with that is necessarily.
Well, it is.
It's a Brandon municipality. It's Brandon city limits only.
Right.
So
but, I mean, in the other parts of this, like in Canton, we'll have probably 9 or 10 open, but it's a jobs programs for Democrats.
Yeah.
As when you open up more polls.
Yeah. So they're consolidating it, so they'll be able to consolidate, any potential shenanigans or anything like that. You'll know exactly where it came from. One-stop shop there. But with that said, back to my ad read here, because we're going to dive down that rabbit hole, I promise, right after this ad read. Get by 042 Wine and Spirits, locally owned, locally operated. I went by there, was it Friday? I believe it was Friday I went by. Got a bottle of wine, got a little pint of Fireball to get through the weekend. Had a good old time at the house this weekend. Never left the house.
What kind of wine?
I don't remember.
Okay.
What did I get? Oh, I do remember. I lied. I got a bottle of 19 Crimes Cali Red, the Snoop wine.
Have you tried the Trump wine yet?
I have. It's really good.
Okay.
It's really good. It was twice the price. And I've had it. I got an empty bottle sitting on my shelf at the house where I do my videos. But I really do like that 19 Crimes.
Oh, yeah. The 19 Crimes does well. We sell that at the at Acme, and we also sell the other. For
like $15-16 a bottle. It's a really, really good wine. And, yes, I shoot Fireball and drink red wine.
There you
go. And with beer, of course.
Okay.
But anyway, swing by. They got it all, man. They've got all the they've still got some bottles of just a few of their select Four Roses bourbon special private barrel.
Good stuff.
Select barrel, whatever it's called. It's got their stamped 042 on the side of it.
Yep.
With a special recipe, one of their 10 special recipes. So swing by, check them out today, right next to Sonny's Barbecue, right across the street from City Hall. So if you know where to vote, you know where to buy liquor in Rankin County.
There you go.
Highway 80, 042, wine and spirits. Chip, I went out and did some politicking.
Okay.
This weekend.
Walk the streets?
I didn't walk the streets necessarily.
Or you just did a sign hold?
We did a sign hold at 2 different locations.
Okay.
Right there in downtown Brandon on the corner of 471 and I call it Highway 80.
Yeah.
In the Cobb's Cleaner parking lot.
Right.
Helping my boy Fred Shanks out.
Okay.
In a non-official capacity.
Right.
I was not radio host Clay Edwards. I was Brandon's citizen Clay Edwards. And then we moved down to the entrance of Crossgates because I said, man, Crossgates gets forgotten about a lot. And that's been a big point of Fred's campaign is to remind Crossgates, hey, we see you.
Right.
We see you, Crossgates. And so we went down and stood at the front corner of Crossgates. And I bet you that hour we were in front of Crossgates, we got more horn honks and thumbs ups and hell yes than we did in the 2 or 3 hours we had been at the other place. And that's a high traffic area, mind you. But Chip, I'm going to tell you what, man, I thought like nasty politics. It's like just that nasty politics. I didn't know they had that out in Rankin County. I'm just going to be honest with you. And,
it happens.
And I'm going to tell you that the other guys got some supporters that got slapped nasty with us, flipping us the bird and telling us to F off and all kind of stuff. Man, I was really, and I'm not making this up for radio here.
Right.
I was really surprised at some of the things that I heard come out of people's mouths. Now look, support your boy. Like I ain't got nothing bad to say about the other guy.
Right.
I like it. My support of Fred is not an indictment against the other fella.
Okay,
you know what I mean?
And then let me ask you this: so the winner of this is going to be the mayor.
Well, yeah, because I don't know. I don't know if a Democrat's running or not.
So this is going to decide it. The incumbent is always scared that when the fact that you even sign up to run, they get the feeling that you are attacking them personally.
I get it.
Okay?
I get it.
And nobody looks at it as you're supposed to be working together to make your city better. And just because somebody has a different view from yours, especially when you've been in office for a long time, change needs to happen. And it needs to always happen.
Somebody commented on I posted some pictures from our little being out there and stuff, and somebody commented, "You got a good mayor now." I said, I don't disagree, but maybe he should ask himself why somebody's running against him. Maybe he should ask himself why so many, or maybe his supporters should ask themselves, why are so many of your fellow citizens voting for the other guy, supporting the other guy? If nothing else, it pushes you to ask these questions, and if you do win, try to get better.
Well, the reality,
try to bring everybody into the tent.
The reality, and that's what I say for years. You move up or move on. That's why we need term limits. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if having somebody and Mary's done a great job, but she's been there for so long that if something happens to her, who would you put in the seat next?
The same thing in Flowood, and I know Gary is retiring.
Yeah,
but the same thing in Flowood. Outstay your welcome's not the word I'm looking for,
right?
Because they both did a phenomenal job building these towns into what they've become. But I do think there's a point where, when you take a town, you build it from nothing to what they are. It's a hard argument, but there's still a point where you say, it's time to take my thumbprint off of it,
right,
and let somebody else put theirs on it. It's plateaued,
right.
There's only so much big box retail and chicken strip joints that we can get in Flowood. In Madison, there's only so many bricks we can use.
Well, I can tell you
it's like the two things they're both known for more than anything is bricks and big box retail and chicken strip joints. It's time for a change.
He did a great job of making sure he had every chicken available in the state.
Very diverse, equitable.
Before he left office.
Diverse and equitable chicken. Yeah. No, look, and I don't believe I've ever met Gary. I think he's done a phenomenal job. Flowood is generally safe. It's as safe as it can be with the amount of people coming through it, and its proximity to Jackson.
Right.
So they've done the police department's done a great job. I love their current chief. I hope he stays regardless of who wins. That's just my personal opinion. So I like him. But aside from that, I just think that there is a point where I agree with you on the term limits. At some point, you just got to say, enough's enough. Move up, move on. I don't think any of these jobs should be career positions, but I could make an argument for having people down there that know what the hell they're doing.
Oh, that's good.
But so you do need people who know what they're doing. I don't know that 4 years is enough for somebody to come in, figure out where the bathroom's at, implement what they want to do. I'm okay with 8 to 12 years.
8 to 12 is real good.
8 to 12 is fine. 4 year, one term is not enough.
But here's the deal. But if you don't lay go in and hire a great staff to work the place and have people to do the positions in the town, then 4 years is you need to go.
Well, you can't tell me that we have to cap it on the governor, but nowhere else.
Correct. I mean,
make sense.
To me, the lieutenant governor would be that's the most important one that it needs to be capped on.
Yeah, and it's not correct.
Huh?
The
it's not.
Governor
You can be lieutenant governor forever.
Yeah.
Ask Delbert. He's 100. So,
but he's only on his second term.
Is it his second term?
His second.
Because he was Secretary of State prior to that.
Correct.
And he passed these voting laws to where you got 7 extra days after the election, which really should be, if you don't have your ID on Election Day, you don't vote. But those 7 days opens a can of worms to where the cheating can occur.
You talking about the early voting?
No.
What are you talking about?
I'm talking about right now. When you go vote on Election Day, okay, if you don't have your ID on Election Day, you have 7 days to bring it in.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, and that's why you can't challenge an election for 7 days until it can be certified.
I thought we changed voter ID laws in Mississippi.
No,
you have to have your ID to vote here.
No, you don't have to have your ID on Election Day.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Because I had to show mine.
Yeah, you have to show it when you go to the counter, but if you don't, you will cast an affidavit ballot. No. You're going to still vote, but you cast an affidavit. Then you come in the next 7 days and bring your ID, and they will check it and count your vote.
Yeah, I'm convinced affidavit ballots are only there if they get sued. They do not count those.
Yeah, but I mean that's the way it works.
Yeah, it seems like a bunch of hogwash to me.
But if you got enough of them sitting over there, if you got 1,000 of them over there, they're going to count them. If that's what they need for their candidate to win. That's the way it works. I mean, it's crooked. So. It's all get out.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. I come from Canton, the home of corruption in Benny Thompson's district. That's the way it is.
Lieutenant governor is term limited too.
He is?
Yep.
I didn't realize that.
It was changed under the 90s under Eddie Brigg after Brad died in 92. So
yeah, because one of them had been in there forever.
All right, we got to confirm this ID thing. Let's take a break. If anybody can confirm that, send me the rules, send me the law on that. That'd be greatly appreciated because I know I have to show. Chip's saying you do have to show your ID, or if you don't show it, you got 7 days to bring it back. That just don't make no sense.
It doesn't, but Delbert put it in there.
We need to confirm all that. We'll be right back on the Clay Edwards Show with Chip Matthews. All right. The Mazda of Jackson phone line is 601-879-0002. The Guns and Gear text line is 769-241-1944. I have got some breaking news here. Chip Matthews was right.
Mm-hmm.
Chip was right. We got the Secretary of State's website pulled up here, and I scrolled down to the bottom. I typed in, what was my Google search? Can Mississippi voters vote without an ID for up to 7 days, or if they don't have an ID, blah, 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 as Chip was saying. So down on the bottom here, it says, what happens if a voter does not have a photo ID on Election Day? A voter who does not have photo ID on Election Day will be asked to vote by affidavit ballot at the polling place. The voter will then have 5 business days to show an acceptable form of photo ID or apply for a Mississippi voter ID card at the circuit clerk's office. Continuing on, there's a few other things here. What if the voter does not have any of the acceptable forms of photo ID? Free Mississippi voter ID cards are available at my circuit clerk's office.
Correct.
Who qualifies for a free Mississippi voter ID card? Any eligible voter who does not have an acceptable form of photo ID qualifies for a free Mississippi voter ID card. So basically, even if you don't have an ID, you can still get a voter ID card and vote.
And you know what you would carry down there? Your utility bill to prove who you are. Because you can get an ID in Mississippi with your utility bill.
So circling back up here, here's something that I dislike more than any of that.
Right.
May a voter use an expired photo ID on Election Day? Y'all, if you ain't sitting down, this is going to make you throw something. Yes, as long as it's an acceptable form of photo ID, see the list above, and is not more than 10 years old. The
10 years expired.
The expired ID must contain the name and photograph of the voter and have been validly issued by a federal or state government. So in theory, with these new 8-year driver's license, this thing could be 18 years old at some point.
Right.
From the time it was issued
Right.
to the time you're using it
Right.
to vote.
Right.
Man, I got questions.
We got tons of low-hanging fruit that they could just clean up.
And look, having ran nightclubs and checked IDs for as long as both of us did, we know how easy it is to run a fake ID.
Yeah.
And
most of them are current. They're not expired.
yeah, I mean, anybody can just hand somebody their driver's license and it's like, I'm going to vote. Yeah, you can go vote for me.
I mean, because people look different over 18 years, don't you think?
Absolutely. You know, especially somebody from their senior year in high school to their senior year in college ain't before 4 to 5 years usually, and they can look completely different.
And
throw
now
a little porn stash on some of these guys, and they look like a new person.
Now, let's also talk about the training of the person that is taking the ID. You're not allowed to look at the address or anything else. You're only allowed by law to look at the name on the ID.
Yeah.
Okay? That's it.
Yep. Crazy. Crazy.
So you want to know the problems. The problems are, I mean, it's like the people that are elected get elected and they don't know the laws because they've never went through a challenge or anything like that, because the way it's set up, you can't really challenge because you only got like 7 days and you have to have 2 lawyers to challenge.
Yeah, so we learned a lot about this challenging thing during the 2020 run. I remember Sean and I's first episode, you know, one of the things we talked about was the 2020 election stories. I went, the court seemed to think it was, all the rulings. Yeah, but those were that was shenanigans. They were ruling on I forget what the term was. They were ruling on, it wasn't if the actual election was stolen, it was if they had merit.
Right.
If they had merit.
Right.
But I thought there was plenty of merit.
Yeah.
And I think most people did. And I think as it all comes out now, you're finding out exactly what happened. And Trump's about to release a lot of information showing that 2020 was in fact stolen.
Yes. And I mean, I cannot wait for, I mean, tomorrow's April Fool's Day where we elect Democrats, but the next day, when he puts the tariffs in place, a lot of people are worried about this, and I sit there and watch the stock market. All that is the rich people are buying up the lower rates, because what's fixing to happen is this this pen here is going to cost the same in China as it costs in America.
Yeah.
Okay? That's all we're doing, is we're leveling the playing field. So it is not going to hurt sales, because if I need a pen, I'm still going to go buy a pen. I will just buy an American-made pen because the Chinese pen would cost $1 million more.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what. If you guys are in the market for a new or used vehicle, the time to buy is now.
Right.
Get out to one of our great sponsors, whether it's Ellis Autoplex, Pops Auto Sales, Mazda of Jackson, and get yourself a vehicle, because especially the used car market, man, I wouldn't negotiate a penny with you suckers.
I mean, because you're looking at COVID situation here.
Mm-hmm. You know, like on new cars, especially ones that are going to be affected by the tariffs. So that's not going to count what's on the ground now. That's going to count anything coming into the country after this point. Now, there is a supply chain where you may have a couple months worth of vehicles on the ground already at the ports. Like Toyota, for example, has their port in Houston that handles this part of the country, the Gulf Coast area. Then the East Coast is handled by East Coast Toyota. They have another port. And like Toyota, they could realistically have a 2-3 month supply chain already on the ground of the vehicles that aren't produced in America. Lots are. Last time I checked, the Tacoma wasn't. All the really, really good stuff that Toyota makes isn't produced in America.
Right.
The 4Runner, the Tacoma, I haven't worked there for almost a decade. Gosh, I can't believe it's been that long. For a good 7 years anyway. So I'm not sure what's built in America now and what's not. The Corolla's built right here in Mississippi. It won't be affected. I mean, maybe some of the parts on it are, but the car itself won't be.
It's like even the Nissans up in Canton.
Yeah.
You have all these Mexican parts that come in to put on those.
Yeah. So, but I say all that to say this. I don't believe, unless I'm wrong, based on some people I've talked to, it won't affect the stuff that's already on the lots. They can't go put a tariff on something that's already here. It's going to be stuff that comes on past but tomorrow's Wednesday's date is the 2nd.
Yeah.
Past Wednesday's date, stuff that comes in after that point. But, if I'm these new car dealers, I'm not budging on it. Hey, look, man, this is the best it's going to get. It's going up 25%
right
after this.
Right.
This is the price. If you want this car, this is the price.
And
now,
then,
consumers don't want to hear that, but I'm just telling you from a small business standpoint or from a business standpoint, why would I negotiate this price today when it's about to go at 25% by law?
Right.
Tomorrow
Right.
or the next batch of cars.
Right.
We may not have this another car here.
I mean,
I don't want to speak for these dealerships, by the way. This is just Clay Edwards talking.
Like the Mercedes
Yeah.
the price is gonna rock.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going up.
Well, Mercedes, some are built in America.
I know.
A lot.
Over in Alabama.
Yeah. A lot. What's funny is a lot of our American-made companies went to Mexico. A lot of these high-end German and European companies came to America.
Right.
So it's not going to be everything you think it is. It's going to be a lot of Ford and Chevy.
Yeah.
Lumped in this whole situation. Let's take a break real quick. Come back, land the plane for hour one. We got Chip Matthews in here, kicking it old school with me this morning, talking a little politics. We're going to talk a little more politics.
Okay.
When we come back. Shad White had a nugget he dropped this morning that is right in my wheelhouse. Okay. Talking about gangs and fatherless homes. Okay. Y'all know I love talking about that. Thank you, Chip, for bringing that to my attention. We'll be right back on WYAB. It is the Clay Edwards Show. Welcome back in to the Clay Edwards Show here with Mr. Matthews.
Good morning.
On WYAB. We got about a minute and a half here before the top of the hour break. Chip, let's read a few Guns and Gear texts. How about that? Just kind of wind the hour down. The Guns and Gear text line, 769-241-1944. Unknown texter says, to clarify the question about the expired ID, TSA will take an expired ID as well. He said, I know that for a fact because I accidentally let my driver's license expire the day before I traveled. So I went online and paid for an updated driver's license. I carried the receipt with me, but they never wanted to look at it. They only wanted to look at my picture ID.
It has to have the yellow star on it.
Yeah.
At TSA. If it's an old one, has a yellow star, then you can go in.
All right. Unknown texter. I've been a poll manager since Obama's first term in Hinds County. They tell us if anything goes wrong, do an affidavit and let someone else handle it. They almost always get thrown out. If you don't have an ID, you can vote affidavit, but you don't have to, and you have a week to show an ID at one of the courthouses. Democrats will always have a stack 3 feet tall of them. My question is, do those get thrown out?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
According if they need them.
Yeah. And, then when the poll workers ain't around, what happens?
Exactly.
That just leaves too much gray area for me. If you don't have your ID, you do not get to vote.
See, and I don't understand why the legislature just doesn't want to clean up gray area. Gray area needs to go away. Although we have lived in the gray area.
Yep. Close it down with this. It's time for a new alderman in Brandon as well. Maybe those people were ugly to y'all because they didn't like legislatures like Fred Shanks basically taking their vote away on important issues like the state flag. Fred didn't do that. Fred voted what was put in front of him. We'll be back. Let me talk to the men out there listening real quick. Guys, are you suffering from erectile dysfunction, fatigue, decreased muscle tone, lack of energy, low libido, brain fog, sleep disturbances? Hey, low libido, ask your girlfriend or wife. She'll let you know if you're suffering from that or not. That's sex drive. If you'll text my name, Clay, in all caps to 601-327-8550, 601-327-8550, Men's Health of Mississippi and the Clay Edwards Show are going to hook you up with a free testosterone screening. They're located in Madison, Mississippi at 120 Fountains Boulevard. You can check them out online, menshealthms.com. But one more time, text my name, all caps, Clay, to 601-327-8550 and get your free testosterone screening scheduled today. Enjoy the rest of this show. 50. Chip Matthews. Let's talk about something funny for a second, shall we?
Okay.
I gave out one of my FAFO Grand Championships yesterday morning.
Okay.
To a fella, or was it Saturday? Either way, over the weekend.
Yes.
An illegal immigrant, a Kamala Harris supporter, a Joe Biden supporter.
Right.
Had the audacity must have found it on discounted Big Lots to vandalize a Tesla in a Walmart parking lot in Brookhaven, Mississippi, one of our former sundown towns.
What I don't understand is Channel 3 reported that story. I was watching Channel 3 talk about it, and they had the guy's name.
And they called him a white guy.
And they called him an illegal immigrant.
Well, they also said a suspect is a white man.
Yes.
Like, you ain't running this George Zimmerman stuff back.
Right. But my question to you is, how do you know his name and you don't have him in jail?
I don't know.
If he's an illegal immigrant, not from America to begin with, and needs to be deported.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
they knew his information enough to maybe they ran him through the scanner, through the CCID scanner. They have that.
Yeah.
They have the image scanner.
Oh, okay.
Maybe they ran him through there. That's how I found some suspects recently that have been harassing me. Was I had somebody run their images through a scanner, and I was able to track them down online and let them know, hey, I see you. I see you. Shout out to Orion, one of the guys that I found stalking me. Yeah, so Orion, I see you. But with that said, Chip, it has made its way to Mississippi. So what I did over the weekend, yesterday I had a little downtime. I was out riding around. I bought me a Ford Raptor, and I wanted to ride by the dealership and price compare and side-by-side compare mine to like the brand new. Mine's a 2017. I wanted to pull up side of 2025
right,
and just kind of see the differences. Very little, and the new one was $94,000, more than twice what I paid for mine. I was like, no, it's beautiful. Don't get me wrong, over $100,000 after taxes. But with all that said, for the few extra bells and whistles, and for it basically being the same dang truck, ain't no way in hell. But you know what? You give me a little FU money, who knows?
Yeah.
Long story short, I feel really good about the deal I got
Yes.
on my truck after doing that. So that was at the Ford store there in Brandon. So I pulled around the corner where the Tesla dealership is. I'm like, look, I'm going to go work a shift doing Security at the Tesla dealership in case any blue-haired baristas want to, or illegal immigrants want to F around and find out. I had 2 guns with me and my fist.
Yeah.
And I was ready to defend this great country and our Tesla dealerships from any left-wing insurgents. Because it's insurgents that you have to look out for, Chip.
Right.
Maybe they're from Jackson. Yes. Insurgents.
Yes.
Coming over. And I was ready to fight the insurgency. I was one-man army. But luckily, I'm here to report that my services were not deemed necessary Sunday afternoon in Rankin County, mainly because I bet you these idiots don't realize we have a Tesla dealership in Rankin County. And if they do realize it, they know that it's also the F around and find out capital of Central Mississippi.
You do not go to Rankin County unless you want to go to jail. That's period the program.
And if you go to jail, you could end up working on a chicken farm.
And then you could have some eggs to eat.
Again, I'm going to be honest. I know people think I'm just kissing Brian's ass. I really don't have a problem with inmates working on a chicken farm.
I have no problem. I have no problem with inmates working at all. And it seems that they didn't say anything about all the ones that pick up the trash and flow wood on the side of the road and cut the grass. And you see the women's prison; they're out there going to town.
I know that there's some billing issues now. If he was billing the sheriff's department for them to work on his chicken farm and making money on it, I could see the problem. But just 30,000-foot view here, without the mechanics of it all, I don't have a problem with inmates working on the chicken farm as long as he's not profiting from them working on the chicken farm.
Well, it's no worse than back in the 70s.
Directly profiting.
Madison County got in trouble because they were taking the funds. I don't know what they were doing with the money, but they were just going hunting and shooting deers and all that and bringing them in to feed the inmates.
Mm-hmm.
I'd much rather have deer meat in that situation if I was in prison.
Sure. I'm making a quick change on our screen here so we can see. We're moving the comments to the screen.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah, Chip, I'm with you. Look.
I mean, you got to work. What do you do? What does a prisoner do all day if in jail if he does not get out and do some work?
If I'm a prisoner in jail, I'm begging to go work for free on the outside.
I mean, it's one thing that look. I often tell people if I went to jail tonight, I would probably sleep for 3 or 4 days if they would let me.
Yeah.
And then,
but now I can confirm that going to jail to get rest is like going to the hospital to get rest.
Yeah.
You ain't getting it. They're going to poke, prod on you, all that. So look, we finally got a call here. I see the blue light lighting up on the Mazda Jackson phone line. Let's take this morning here on the Clay Edwards Show. Hey, turn it down. You on there?
Hey, Clay, it's Ready Teddy, man. What's going on? How you doing? What's up, shit?
Ready?
Hey.
Machete Teddy. What's up, brother? Hey, cut your radio. Cut your radio all the way down for me.
Okay.
All right, now I'm turning it down.
All right.
Hey, I don't go too far deep into it, what you know and stuff, but here's my opinion on inmates working. Most inmates, when they get locked up, they do not have a work ethic at all. And when they get in there and they have to get up in the morning and They come back, quote unquote, home in the evening. They eat their dinner. They take their shower. They're tired. Learning that routine and learning that work ethic is so valuable when they get out, because a lot of people that go in don't have that.
No, because they've been tied up in a life of crime for the most part.
What's that?
Because they've been tied up in a life of crime, not work. It ain't just, jail ain't filled with people who were just good old hard-working folks that made one bad decision. It's filled with folks that have continuously FAFO'd.
100%. And I've heard all kind of people like, man, we need to teach some trade programs. No, not yet. I'm all for learning a trade, but first you got to learn work ethic, because a skill without work ethic is useless.
Yep.
So you teach a work ethic, and if you have a program to teach a trade, great. But the first thing you have to do is teach people how to get up to go to work in the morning, because they have a responsibility to do it. And for anybody that says inmate labor or slave labor is just an idiot.
Yeah, Katie, that actually reminds me of that quote about you feed a man a fish, you feed him one meal. You teach a man to fish, you feed him for the rest of his life.
Right.
So I know I'm bastardizing that a little bit, but you get the point.
Yeah, that's it, man. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Teddy.
Thank you.
Yeah, congrats on the big sale you had. Teddy had a big old sale there at the dealership he works at the other day. Congratulations to him. Hope they're not affected by the tariffs too much. But again, they're going to level the playing field. But I don't pretend to know a whole lot about them. But I know how it affects certain industries that I've been applied my services to.
Well, I mean, we've gotten so far away from always buying American. I remember when Walmart everything in it was American.
Yeah.
And it isn't anymore.
I mean, they used to have little American flags in there and talk about it loudly and proudly.
But as soon as Sam Walton died, they said, let's make some money.
Let's make some money. Globalization is what it's all about, right?
Yep.
Globalization.
Also, let me remind everybody, in Gluckstadt, you got to get out and vote for your first times and elect a mayor and alderman. And, of course, they're running on a ranked choice voting type ballot, because they fall under the rules of not having enough citizens to where they can do that. And in case you didn't know what ranked choice voting is, you basically, I think they have 5 aldermen. There's 8 people running. The top 5 win, if you're familiar with that. But everybody's running out there, and that vote is tomorrow. You got to get out and vote in Gluckstadt and in Canton and in Madison and Ridgeland. Just to show up, Ridgeland, you only have one contested race that I know of, and that's Pat Truesdale, the former election commissioner, running against one of the aldermen there. But Jackson, you got to show up, and you've got to think about this now. Think a lot about this. If you vote if you're wanting to vote in the mayor's race, you have to vote in the Democratic primary, meaning you will not be allowed to vote for any Republicans, because it's separate. So
say that again.
If you go to vote Democrat, you don't get to vote Republican. So if you go in and you got, let's say you got an alderman, councilman race in your district that there's 2 Republicans, you're going to vote in that race, and then you don't get a choice in who's going to be the mayor.
Interesting. Well,
because you can't cross over. And then when the runoff, you can't vote in the runoff.
Well,
except in the primary in which the primary you voted in originally.
Everybody in Jackson needs to go vote in the Democrat primary,
right?
Against Chockway. Pick your one guy. I don't like. I think everybody on the Democrat side, honestly, you're just replacing one problem with another. But if they'll just actively not work against the city, they'll do more than the current mayor's doing. And it's one of the rare times that I say pick David Archie on the Democrat side, because if you end up with him and he gets out and he's able to defeat the people on the independent side like Kim Wade, the devil is better than the devil you don't.
Right.
And I can live with David Archie, 4 years of David Archie if I had to.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't have to. I don't live in Jackson, but unfortunately Jackson does affect.
Right.
Does affect us whether we want it to or not. Hey, real quick before we take our break, guys, all this weather coming through here. Don't forget it's also hail season, and not all hail damage can be seen from the ground. Why don't you have Watkins Construction and Roofing come out and inspect your roof and give you a no-cost, honest assessment? They'll come out. They're going to call it like they see it. And, hey, look, that might not mean you need a whole roof. You may just need some repairs. That's right. They do those every single day. You can shop them online, or not shop them, but check them out online and schedule your complimentary roof assessment at nomoreroofleak.com. That's nomoreroofleak.com. If you think you got any storm damage over the last 12 hours or so, couple days, last few storms that have been through. We're in that season where we're getting one big system a week coming through, messing up some roofs. Watkins Construction and Roofing, nomoreleak.com. Going to come out there and get you checked out and taken care of today. They'll work with your insurance company every step of the way. And Chip Matthews and Clay Edwards will be right back to get you worked up every step of the way to get your Monday started off here in Central Mississippi. We'll be right back. Welcome back in to Trainwreck Radio. This is the Clay Edwards Show with Chip Matthews, Mr. Matthews. He's in character today.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I've known Chip for almost 30 years now. We've been best friends, brothers, worst enemies, business partners, you name it. We've ran the gamut over the decades. I've definitely known him 3 decades, since 99.
Right.
And I actually frequented his establishments prior to that, but actually met Chip. Right. In 99. Actually, I could go back. I'm lying. I could go back 89.
Yes.
89, maybe 90. 89. The first time I met Chip, he was at 98 Rock on Lakeland Drive there in the quarter, and I won a free CD or a free shirt or something. I won a free CD from the CD closet at 98 Rock. And I went in, and I don't know why or how I even remember this, but the CD I picked was Deicide.
Okay.
You know, some good Christian rock.
Yes.
And the death metal of all death metal.
Right.
And I got a 98 Rock shirt and met Chip. I remember my mom going in with me because she thought the radio station would be filled with devil worshippers. And here I was picking the devil right off the aisle. I'm kidding about that. She did not say that about devil worshippers because I know she'll be listening and correct me on that.
Right.
But I remember Chip being the guy in there. Maybe he triggered a memory when I met Chip later on and he mentioned that he was at 98 Rock. But it was definitely Chip that gave me the CD out of the CD closet. Then we met again in 99 and ended up becoming business partners for a few years.
Yeah.
And then again later on down the road.
Yep.
But Chip Matthews has been the one constant figure in my life. One way or another, we keep following each other from career to career.
Yep.
Whether it's bars, restaurants, now radio.
And we've had, I mean, do you feel like you've been fulfilled in life that other than, I mean, you've done everything?
Yeah. The only career we didn't follow each other into was the car business. But you
I've been close to wanting.
You went and did your own thing through that era, and I went and did mine. But
yeah, you hadn't run for office.
I haven't run for office. I have no want to run for office. I want to be able to continue to criticize everybody.
But you can run for when Fred wins. You can run for his seat.
I considered it. I considered it.
Also, remind everybody Wednesday at lunch is Grip and Grin this week.
Is it? Yep.
And then Saturday is the
day after an election.
And Saturday, the Rankin County Breakfast.
Yep. Saturday, the Rankin County Breakfast out there at Cypress Point. Speaking of Cypress Point, guys, clear your calendars. Sunday, April 13th, one of our good friend of the show, good friend of WYAB, Mr. Bubba Wingfield, was diagnosed with some really, really bad stuff. I'm not one to spread people's medical information. You know, it's out there if you want to find it. I don't want to get it wrong because I'm so ignorant to saying it properly, and I don't want to misdiagnose him on the air here. But he needs your prayers first and foremost. It's never good when they have to do the kind of work on him they're having to do. So let's just get that out of the way. But aside from that, past your prayers, they're going to need your financial help. Being a musician, self-employed, I believe he's got some insurance, but you don't have supplemental insurance where the money quits coming in. You know what I mean? When you quit gigging, you quit earning. Just like your boy here. If I quit showing up for these radio shows, those paychecks quit coming in.
That's right.
With all that said, Sunday, April 13th, and Cypress Point, starting around 2:00, the Bubba Wingfield fundraiser. Guys, it's going to be insanely packed. It's probably, I'm going to go on record here and say whether or good weather, bad weather, no weather, it's going to be the most people they've ever had show up out there at Cameron's Garage or Cypress Point for anything. The list of who's who. Local and Mississippi-based musicians have already been kicking the door down to get on the list to play. Bubba's always the first kicking the door down to get on the list to play when other people need something. Friends of ours, Jennifer and Sam, they lost their house recently to a fire. Bubba was the first one to sign up. I think he helped put the fundraiser together. They raised a huge amount of money, and Bubba Wingfield played a huge role in that. He's at every fundraiser I've been to. So we're going to have an opportunity to give it back. And I tell people all the time, you want a little good karma in the karma bank in case something happens to you and they need to do a fundraiser for you one day. Mm-hmm. And that's why we know Bubba's is going to be a huge success because he made quite a good bit of deposits into the good karma bank over the years. And that's why people are kicking the door down to repay that. So
And he's very entertaining and good music.
Hey, I mean, he's great. It doesn't hurt him that he's
doesn't hurt
great.
that he's that talented.
Exactly. So just Sunday, April 13th, make plans to be out at Cypress Point, Cameron's Garage. There is a GoFundMe available. If you don't want to do GoFundMe, reach out to me. I'll help you get in touch with the family to make a direct donation if you want to do that. If you can't make the event, there'll be a silent auction, all kind of good stuff as we get closer. I'm just dropping that nugget in y'all's ear. This ain't a paid advertisement or nothing. I'm actually taking away from a paid advertisement to tell y'all this because it's that dang important to me.
Yes.
Sunday, April 13th, Cypress Point, Bubba Wingfield fundraiser. And Bubba will be there. So unless he's sick and can't make it for some reason. Hopefully the Lord will lift him up and we'll get him there. Chip Matthews.
Yes.
Let's see here, man. We have hit a bunch of stories this morning. Let's hit the Shad White story. We've ran over already.
Okay.
We should be taking a break right now, but breaking rules when necessary.
Right.
Shad White posted this about an hour ago.
Okay.
In Jackson, Mississippi, there are 28 violent gangs according to startling reporting from the Clarion Ledger. No discussion of the gang problems we have is complete without talking about the absentee fathers. Though, according to federal data, 54% of the babies born in Mississippi are born into single-parent homes. Without an engaged father, these kids are then 20 times more likely to go to prison statistically.
Well, I mean, he does statistics.
Statistically. Continuing on, this is one of the most fundamental challenges facing our state, and we need to pound it into young men's heads in the school that if they aren't ready to raise a child, they don't need to be fathering a child. Guys, that means stop having sex before you're ready. Or, put a condom on, for goodness sake. All that AIDS running around in Jackson anyway. Continuing along. The other thing missing from the discussion is the value of police. According to the criminologist Raphael Manguel, one of the most robust findings in research is that more police equal less crime. Paint me shocked. We need to pay our cops, and we need more of them so that entire neighborhoods aren't terrorized by these gangs. Chip, that leads me to, and we're going to have to play it on the other side of the break, Ridgeland Police Chief, what's his name?
Brian Myers?
Myers, yes. Brian Myers did a thing with WLBT, and he's really upset about the PERS stuff and them limiting what future participants in PERS will be able to get from PERS, even though they're going to be paying in the same amount. Says it's going to hurt police recruitment and stuff. And I've got an argument against that. And I like Brian. Y'all know nobody lays it down for law enforcement harder than I do. But this PERS thing is just getting out of control.
Well, the problem is the government kicked it down the road and didn't fund it from the beginning. And now you got to do the tough love of fixing it.
Yep.
But then you also have people that cheat the PERS system that need to. I mean, there's 7 people from Canton, believe it or not, that are being investigated for PERS violations, and they are elected officials. And what happens, for instance, let's say, for instance, I hire my cousin to come work in the mayor's office sweeping the floors. Okay, and I'm paying him minimum wage for 16 years.
Yeah.
Then the last 4 years, I give him a new title of chief operating officer of the brooms in the closet.
Well, there's this high four hustle, right?
And then you get the $100,000 for the last 4 years, and now your PERS check is just blown out of the water.
Yep, and that is one of my biggest gripes for PERS is the high four hustle.
The high four hustle.
Well, we're going to talk about that and more on the other side of the break here. And I have an argument against this, at least from the police perspective. Right. And y'all know I love y'all, but if it don't make dollars, it don't make sense.
That's right.
So let's take a break real quick. Come back. We got Chip Matthews here in the studio. This is the Clay Edwards Show. To the Clay Edwards Show here with Charles E. Matthews, a.k.a. Chip, a.k.a. Mr. Matthews, on the Clay Edwards Show this morning. Y'all be sure to stay locked in when the show ends at 9 o'clock for Chip's hour here on the radio. Is Taylor going to be back with you?
Not this morning.
Not this morning? Well, she's running for something, isn't she?
She's running for Ward 7 in they call it wards in Jackson?
Yeah, wards.
Okay, Ward 7 council person.
Sounds like prison pods to me.
Yes.
Wards. The warden is over the wards.
She's running in Ward 7, but has no Republican opponent, so she won't be on the ballot till June. Huh. Just like me running for mayor in Canton won't be on the ballot till June.
Interesting.
So,
rock and roll.
So you can walk in and vote Democrat tomorrow in Canton because there is no Republican primary.
Well,
and tomorrow in Jackson, you do have a Republican primary in some districts, so you need to vote Democrat.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's coming from a great Republican.
Get out. I don't care. He spent some money on this station, so I say get out and vote for John Horn. I don't care.
Anybody but Joe Way.
Yeah. Yeah, so people I like are saying John Horn. Just if nothing else, he's got a relationship with the legislature, and can hopefully get some things done. The legislature's going to be very willing to work with John Horn.
Right.
If nothing else, you need that. Real quick, today's Blue Plate specials at all of our great sponsors. It's Monday at Martin's. Livingston and downtown Jackson, rocking and rolling since 1953. It is fried or grilled pork chop is the fixed special, and it's only $12, $11.95. That's for two sides. You want to add a third side, it only goes up to $12.95. You can't beat that. I like the mashed potatoes, the fried okra, and the hash brown casserole, but they're great. They're turnip greens or whatever you want to call it. What is it? They call it turnip greens there.
You do turnip greens. You do mustard greens.
Some people call it collard greens.
Collard greens. Well, those
way,
are different.
The greens.
Those are different greens.
Yeah, the greens are great at Martin's. So at Martin's, you got the fried or grilled pork chop right there on the reservoir, buzzing the red since 1982. McBee's, they got the chicken spaghetti on Mondays. And guys, what they do with their chicken spaghetti is a little different than most. They don't cook the chicken in it. They cook the chicken separate and put it on top of it so everybody gets the same amount of chicken. What a novel idea. Because one person, if two people go eat, one person can get loaded up with meat, and the other person may not have but one bite of meat in their dang chicken spaghetti. Not at McBee's. Everybody, equitable distribution of chicken.
I hate to break this to you, and I hate to admit this in public. The best chicken spaghetti I ever had was this chicken spaghetti you were cooking down at 105.
Well, chicken spaghetti is great, and but I cook mine in the I use a lot of Velveeta and cream of chicken soup. I don't put cream of mushroom. I don't like cream of mushroom.
And then we did Rotel, right?
Rotel, yep. But Rotel tomato. Mine was more of a Rotel chicken than it was a chicken spaghetti, but I called it chicken spaghetti.
Right, it was great.
So real good. McBee's chicken spaghetti is phenomenal. I've been there 3 of the last 4 Mondays for chicken spaghetti Monday.
There you go.
Swing by, check it out. They've got some fixed menu items available too. Blue plates available every day. Encased chicken spaghetti isn't your thing, you have the option of hamburger steak, fried or grilled chicken breast, and country fried steak, all of which I've had and can tell you they're phenomenal. Real quick, all 3 of our great Burgers Blues barbecue locations. Y'all be sure to check out the Flowwood location if you didn't know. It's right there in front of Dick's Sporting Goods and Dogwood, but they also have, of course, Main Street in Madison and downtown Brandon. Hit a downtown one time. Downtown. Mondays, they got ribbons and rice with sausage, fried chicken, or hamburger steak, and your sides are mashed potatoes, green beans, and potato salad, or potato salad. You get 2 of the 3 options for only $12.50. You can add an extra side for $2 at all 3 Burgers Blues barbecue locations, and of course, their burgers, their blues, and their barbecue are available every day. Check them out, and don't forget our great high-end food sponsor right there, the Manship. Their menu changes weekly as far as their blue plates go. It's based on market pricing and what's available, but it's only $15. Great blue plate right there at the Manship. And don't forget, half-price pizzas, wood-fired pizzas at happy hour. And they've always got a great bourbon special going, too. What's been voted Mississippi's best bourbon bar and best bourbon selection at the Manship. All right, let's get back to this story here.
Okay, before we go there, let me remind everybody, y'all be careful in South Mississippi. We had a tornado touchdown in Marion County. Going into Lamar, right there at the line.
All right, well, y'all be careful in South Mississippi. Guys, don't avoid the power lines and all that stuff if you can.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, now the story.
All right, now the story here. This is PERS. This is Original Police Chief Brian Myers kind of taking his stance on it. And I'm going to tell you why. I'm not saying he's wrong, but I'm saying it's just a point where we've got to understand that, hey, these guys have gotten a big pay raise too over the last few years. But I'll get to my side of this and Chip's side of this after the story here. This is from WLBT. Let me turn the volume on. That would make a huge difference.
Racked up a big pension debt to the tune of $26.5 billion. But the idea of changing benefit plans for future employees is not sitting well with one group of public employees. 3 on Your Side's Courtney Ann Jackson explains why some say it could become a public safety issue.
Not everyone is celebrating after Thursday's tax reform bill signing.
This bill had a lot of really popular wording in it too, things that are good for the state, and that's wonderful. But when you sandwich something like this in with, you take it out. You don't let this bill pass when you're hurting the people, the blue collar workers. It's on their backs. Why? I want to know why, and it makes me angry.
Ridgeland Police Chief Brian Myers is worried about what the change to benefits found within House Bill 1 will mean when it's time to add to his force.
When I retire, my retirement will look much different than those who I hire now. And we take care of our people, but we're shorthanded. We're shorthanded now. How am I going to hire anybody? How am I going to hire anybody and tell them, you got to work 35 years or until you're 62 before you can retire?
See, House Bill 1 creates a Tier 5 of benefits for public employees hired after March 1st, 2026. Employees would still pay in the same 9% with less money guaranteed in retirement because there wouldn't be a cost of living adjustment. Pontotoc Chief Randy Tudor serves as president of the Mississippi Association of Chiefs of Police.
Me personally, every day I fight this battle about getting that guy here, that girl here.
This is Chief Randy Taylor from Pontotoc for those listening on radio.
And they just took away one of the most important things that I can throw at that person to get him or her to come here.
But changes will apply to all public sector employees, including teachers, state, city, and county workers.
A lot of people come in and take those lower paying jobs just because of our retirement system. Basically, Section 2 of HB 1 is taking that away from us. And I know it's already been signed, it's already done, but, this is one of the things that we really can't be quiet about.
Courtney Ann Jackson, 3 on Your Side.
Chip, so my argument, if that's what you want to call it, against or whatever, where I'm just going to push back a little against the chief out there in Ridgeland, is that police, especially here in the Tri-County area, have gotten a big old, and I can't speak for Ridgeland, I don't know, but I'm going to assume that they've had the same fight everybody else has, competing with Capitol Police and the money that they're able to pay. And I know Pearl's gone up. I know Brandon's gone up. I know several have gone up because they're having to deal with this and to compete against Capitol Police's pay or compete with Capitol Police's pay. And that's had a trickle-down effect. I know in some areas like Pearl where the firemen have gotten raises as well because of it. Look, you're making more money now. Substantially. Now, not all state employees. The police, the teachers have gotten a raise too.
Right.
But I get it. Not all are getting pay raises. But since we're focusing on police here,
right
now outside of the Tri-County area, I don't know. But I get it, man. In Pontotoc, it's got to be a little tougher maybe. But here in the Tri-County area, guys, you've gotten a big pay raise. And the people who were already in PERS have gotten a big pay raise, and they got the great PERS benefits. And now their high fours going up.
Right.
It's really a win-win. And it goes back to the I don't want to call it the high four hustle for this, but same concept, though. You're getting the high four because you got a pay raise. Now, the future people, they will be negatively benefited from the retirement standpoint, but they're making more money. But also, here's the deal at the end of the day. Nobody's forcing you to take these jobs.
Correct. And the big thing here is really this. PERS is not working. So you've got to fix it. So if you can't fund it, you can't continue it.
And also,
so what they should do is just cut it off, pay these people what they're worth now, and let them get into 401k plans and all that like the rest of us. But pay them a living wage that's worth it, and give them their money now.
Yeah, and that way you're not committed to giving them their money for 30 plus years.
Correct.
If they're there for 10, 15 years, pay them more money now.
I know senators.
Where's the money going to come from?
Think,
I get it, man.
Think of this.
It's got to come from somewhere to pay PERS.
We have people who put in 20 years in the Senate and have been and they're now in their 80s and early 90s, and they're getting that 13th check.
Yeah.
We have all these people that worked for Parks and Recreation. I know a person personally who made it to 99.
You got one. Tell this story. You got 1 minute.
He's got his 13th check was $80,000.
No, it's a 13th check went $80,000.
Yes. Yes.
Total of 13th checks.
Yeah. No, your 13th check is $80,000.
$8,000.
No, 80. These 13 checks are like 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, based on the money you brought in.
The 13th check every year is like $80,000.
But that was his last one.
That can't be right.
I believe it is.
Chip, that's more money than they made the year.
You don't understand. Most of the checks that these people that are in their 70s and 80s that are still getting checks, their checks are more than they made when they worked.
The 13th, I can't wrap my head around that.
I mean, verify it. You'll find out. It's insane. The 13th check is huge.
All
so,
right. Well, whether
you and I'll never get one.
Whether it's $80,000 or $8,700 or $8,000, the 13th check that's too much. If you're getting your full pay and your 13th check, I don't know. Maybe I don't understand the.
No, the 13th check is after you retire.
Yeah, maybe I just don't understand enough to talk about it. That seems asinine to me.
Yes,
but for what the part I do understand to talk about is a lot of you are making more money now. So this argument that I've got to pay you heavy on the back end because I can't pay you on the front end, that argument is losing steam. And I'll also say this, and it may not be a popular opinion, I think most of your it needs to be a calling. If you want to be a cop, it needs to be a calling. Yes, we should have 100% compensation. We're not paying whatever raise they gave you.
Not paying
it ain't enough.
No,
it ain't enough. I think you should make 6 figures a year.
Right.
For what you do.
Right.
Probably more than that. But I think realistically you should have, within the first few years of your enlistment into being a cop, you should have a path to 6 figures for what you do.
Right.
And I don't think it should start any less than $53,000 a year.
Right.
You should absolutely have a path to 6 figures without a college education if you go become a law enforcement officer.
Right.
We got to take a break. We'll be right back. Again, I think law enforcement should be a calling. You shouldn't have a bunch of people getting into law enforcement just for the retirement.
Right.
You should have people getting into it because they damn want to be cops.
Well, it's the same way that people go into
Caller on hold. I ain't able to get to you.
It's where people, Army and the Navy, they go into that to get their first part of the government work in, and then do the same thing. And that's why the DEI people that are all in there waiting to get their PERS and all that in the future, they'll be able to take that forward in our PERS program, and they count it toward it. And, your 4 high is your 4 high.
Yep. All right, online audience. Appreciate you guys for tuning in today. Had a big online audience today. Well over 300 people tuning in. That's good for a rainy Monday. Mm-hmm. We appreciate you. Y'all stay safe out on the roads today, or any other day for that matter. Rain or shine, stay safe on the roads in Jackson. Keep your head on a swivel. Like I said, man, the PERS conversation it's one that I'll admittingly tell y'all is a little above my pay grade when it gets to the nuts and bolts of it. But I can look at the low hanging fruit and tell you that's a problem.
Yes.
I think any of them is taxpayer funded at the end of the day. So
right.
we have some say so in this, whether we're participating in PERS or not.
The money's not invested to make money.
Yeah.
You're just trying to roll it down, and these people and the senators and all that have not funded it for the entire time. And then all of a sudden now they're trying to fund it with our road money. So.
Yep. We got somebody taking us that Chip is right. I'm not saying Chip's wrong. I'm just mind blown. And I didn't know enough about the 13th check to be able to wrap my head around that.
Well, I never knew that. When I saw what was going on, I'd go, where are you getting all this money? Because he'd take it and go get it in cash.
Yeah.
Just like you and I would back in the day. And I was just sitting there going, your check, you get a check every month, and then you get a 13th check that is based on some kind of something, and it can be 30 or 40, or it can jump way on up.
Yeah.
And it's insane.
All right, guys. See y'all back tomorrow. Peace out.